All right, everybody. This is Stevie Bullets with my special guest, Joe Lopez. They call him the Shark here in Chicago. He's a notorious criminal defense attorney here. I was very interested in his story. I had a couple friends that had hired him, and they a lot of people say he's got some history with the mob and stuff like that. So I'll let him introduce himself and tell his story. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and good morning to those who are not in that time zone. Hope everybody's doing well today.
Go ahead.
Oh,
So what? Yeah, go ahead, take it away. I was just so like, what kind of cases have you tried and stuff like that? What do you
oh,
know? I see that you do a little bit of acting and stuff.
yeah, I do a little bit of acting. I've done Chicago PD a couple of times. I wrote for the show for a couple of years. Was very involved in the writing in many of the episodes, but it came to the point where it was either practice law or stay in the TV business. I decided to practice law because I liked it a lot better. I like helping people. I like getting people home. I always tell my clients, when you get home, make sure you call me or come to my office so I can see your face and I know you're home, because
Yeah,
jail is so far away from the families. It's just such a pleasure when somebody comes back. And I always tell
yeah,
people, we're in
especially
the
when they
business of getting
deserve it.
people home. That's what lawyers are supposed to do, get you home. Might not be able to win every case, but you got to figure out, if you can't win the case, how the heck are you going to get your guy home as soon as possible, back to his family and back to his life. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had my fair share of attorneys and stuff, and I was just lucky that they got me out of everything. I haven't been in trouble in the last 10 years, and I've been staying clean. I got a job now, but if it wasn't for the attorneys and stuff that I had that represented me in my past, I'd probably still be sitting in jail. So I'm very thankful for those attorneys. Uh, so what's some of the cases that you've represented, if you care to, share with us and stuff that,
Well, I mean,
maybe people.
I can give, I can tell you the first, if you guys want to talk about the mob cases, we can talk about mob cases, talk about gang cases, and we can talk about dope cases. But we can start with a little bit of background. Uh, I got licensed in 1984. I'm an old guy with young kids. I started practicing in 84 with a friend of mine. The goal at the time was to be a divorce attorney. And I worked for a divorce attorney when I was in law school. I thought he was the greatest guy. He hung out at Faces. He had a Porsche. He had his own parking spot. He was at 69 West Washington in a corner office looking at the Picasso, and I wanted to emulate him. So I started in this divorce business. I wanted to stay away from the stuff that I really knew, which was criminal law, growing up with a lot of people who were involved in the outfit, and cousins who were gangbangers and friends who were Satan disciples. I knew a lot about that type of work, but wasn't really interested at the time. I thought maybe I was just too good for it, not realizing that I was really born to do it. And I say that because I learned something in law school when I had Judge Wolfson my professor for what they call trial advocacy. It's how you learn to try cases. And it's always the same problems over and over, not problems, but the same cases over and over again. And I remember I had a case and I went up against a person who became a very successful PI lawyer, Peter Polivos. He was the prosecutor. I was the defense attorney. And we actually had a jury. We had witnesses. I had a friend of mine who was a doctor who testified on my behalf. Long story short, the bottom line was the first time in the history of the school at Illinois Institute of Technology, Chicago Kent Law School, that the prosecution didn't win a case. I hung the jury. And I remember Judge Wolfson telling me, you should really go into criminal law. You got the knack for it. I said, nah, I want to be a divorce lawyer. Kind of like discounted it and, kind of went on my own way. Well, as things started progressing in 84 into, 84 and a half, around the summer when this Greylord, which was a big investigation against lawyers for corruption, snagged a bunch of people into it. There was kind of an opening that I jumped into, and I kind of got lucky. I jumped into this opening with this lawyer I knew, Mike Guinan, who represented all the Herrera drug dealers, all the La Familia Herrera. Those were his clients. He was in prison at the time. They had him for the murder of his wife and income tax evasion. he was at the MCC, and he gave me a couple of cases with these Colombians, and I kind of jumped on it. And all of a sudden, they started calling. And
Yeah.
I kind of was like, well, I guess I got to give up the divorce work. I had about 20 divorces pending. I jumped out of those and jumped into the criminal arena. I liked it a real lot. I was out of law school for, I would say maybe 12, 13 months before I go into the federal building and start practicing in federal court. Most lawyers, it takes 5, 10 years to get there. But I got in right away. It was baptism by fire. I've never worked for another attorney as a lawyer. I've started on my own from day one. I gave my office partner a typewriter because my dad was in a typewriter business for a month of rent, and that's how I got started. But then I started along with the Cali cartel, and then my uncle was a connected guy, and he got me into this case, USA versus Eddie Pedotti, Mikey Switek, and Danny Bamboulis. It was a robbery case. It was a planned robbery at the Maller's building at 20 South, I think it's 20 South Wabash, where the jewelers are. They planned this robbery. The problem is one of the guys they recruited was an ATF agent. So that was my first big case. I would say, with the outfit guys. I did pretty well. I lost the trial, but my client, subsequently got probation, and subsequently he got killed as well. He was Eddie Pedotti was the ex-police commissioner from Hillside. He was a well-known guy out west. Not sure what he got himself involved in, but he was murdered. It was a mob hit. That was probably a year later. And then I landed on the Victor Plesha case. It was Victor Plesha, Frankie Bonavolante, Camillo Grossi and his son. I think there might have been one other person. But that particular case was a narcotics case. It was a cocaine case. And what they were doing was they were grabbing all of the money from the gambling, and they were going down to Miami, and they were loading up their cars with cocaine and bringing it back. And this went on for a couple of years with Victor and Frank and the whole crew. They were doing it under, I don't know if they're, who they were selling to or what they were doing, but they were making pretty good money. And I jumped on that particular case. And then I had a couple other guys here and there, but the big thing came, and you're gonna love this story, Stevie, and so are you guys. I'm gonna go back to 91 or 92. Black Armani suits, black pointy shoes, ponytail almost to the middle of my back, greased back hair, Rolexes, the whole Miami Vice look. Long leather coat, buckles, and all kinds of jewelry. Well, they call me and they say, we got this client we want you to go check out. I go, who is he? And his name is Tony Chiramonte, the Hatchet.
Oh, yeah. He got killed by my house in Berwyn.
I go, okay. We'll talk about that. I go, okay. So what happens next is, they tell me like at 11 in the morning, right? This case is set for 2:00 in the afternoon. Well, most people call me Late Louie because I'm always late, and it's not on purpose, but I just do a lot of things. And
most lawyers do that.
Yeah. I lose track of time, and unbeknownst to me, this was the Sam Carlisi case. So at the table, Sam Carlisi, Anthony Zizzo, right?
Yeah, he's
Chiramonte,
missing, right?
And Marcelo.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So I walk into this courtroom, a couple of minutes, everybody's waiting for me. I come in, sunglasses, all dressed out. They all look at me like I'm from Pluto. Like, who the hell is this guy? So I take off my jacket and making a lot of noise. I sit down, and I already had the complaint picked up earlier, and I had read it. I picked it up at the office, and I read it, so I kind of knew a little bit about the case. So I kind of settle in. Jenner and Block was there, Tom Sullivan. Who else was there at the time? There were some big heavy hitters, ex-U.S. attorneys there. And so now this was set for a detention preliminary hearing. So, you ready? Carlisi's snarling at me. Marcelo's looking at me like I'm from another world. The gallery's full of people going, who the fuck is this guy? Right? I'm just a dope lawyer coming up. So It comes my turn to cross-examine. I fucking rip an asshole into this agent. Now all these guys are handing me questions. Carlisi's got this grin on his face, and I'm just grinding away. I'm not winning, but I'm grinding, right? I'm in there. I outperformed everybody in the room, hands down. So then we kind of the case starts moving on, and Carlisi, he's got to cut his ponytail. He's got to cut his. I don't like that ponytail, so I cut my ponytail for Sam. It was time anyway. But that was my big introduction into the upper end of it. We went to trial. I did pretty good for my client. I got his fines vacated and everything. And then for the next couple of years, I remember I represented. I can't remember all of a lot of smaller people that weren't really high on the totem pole at the time. Just associates and guys of that nature. And then sometime in, I don't know, 2003, when Family Secrets was starting.
Yeah, that was a big case here.
I got the call on that one, and I didn't want to represent Frank. I wanted to represent Mickey Marcello. Mickey was my friend. I wanted to represent Mickey, but I was told you can't represent Mickey because there's only one guy that can handle this particular client. It was a very difficult client. I knew it was a difficult client because Eddie Jensen, my friend, used to represent him. And I know he was very difficult. They're like, you're the only one that can handle him. You're taking him, period. So that was my introduction into the Family Secrets case. And, we went through there, and, I beat 6 of the 13 murders for Frank. I mean, it wasn't a winner, but it was something.
Yeah,
but
they had a lot of evidence
that's kind of how it all turned out. And, now I'm back in. There's really not much of that left anymore. So, we concentrate more on the cartel, and I represent a lot of street gang members. Older ones and some younger ones, but a lot of the older ones, and a lot of the local drug dealers all know me, and I've been around a while.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's how I got your name. And, like I said, you represented a few people that I knew and stuff. And I kind of knew your history. And, I'm 43 years old and been through the system a lot. So, like, I'm pretty familiar with who the good attorneys are. And, you get what you pay for as far as the attorneys. Right. And, all of them have, the ones that, like you, have really good reputation in the courts and stuff. So, and then of course, you represent some notorious people here, including a lot of outfit guys. And, so that's why I wanted to get this interview. I appreciate you taking the time, because I know you got a lot of cases and stuff going on. But, yeah, I mean, I think that's interesting. A lot of people like that stuff nowadays. Like I said, I'm doing a documentary with Joey Seifert. He just released his Saturday. We're in the middle of making mine. We're still putting some content together. So, stuff like this all contributes to it. And like I said, friends of yours had helped me out with this documentary and with the cars and stuff like that. And I got a lot of support. Like I said, I haven't been illegally doing anything in the last 10 years. I got away from that just because, I got 3 kids. And at this age, I'm looking at like, a lot of time, 10, 20 years, stuff like that. So
it's hard when you're older.
Go back to jail. Yeah. So, I went legit. Plus my son's autistic. So, I got my hands full. So, I decided to get a 9-to-5 job. I got into the Teamsters, and, I'm in a secure place. I'm not rich or anything, but I'm doing good, doing these little podcasts. Hopefully sell the documentary, and they're going to do a book. Working with James Forney, Joe Seifert, stuff like that, and I'm just trying to do good things, promote people, guys like you that, got an interest in history. I got guys like these podcasts I started with guys in Connecticut. I got some producers down in Miami, Cyril DePaggio, Mob King. It's all good stuff, and people like that stuff. They some of the stuff that I went through and other people went through, it's really not about me being a gangster or nothing like that. Although I did, I did some stuff. I'm not innocent, but, I'm not going to implicate myself in any crimes or anything like that or put bad light on any of the people in my neighborhood. But we're definitely going to start doing some things and make some money off of it for sure. It's legit money. I learned how to hustle in prison and out in the streets. Now it's just in a legit way, And then, like I said, I got a regular job, so I got that to fall back on if anything doesn't go through, But I'm in a secure place in my life,
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of support, even with. Go ahead.
I said I'm in a union too. Um, but I think back on my career. Some of the things that I've done. I've been on Gangland. I've been on American Greed. I've been on Mobsters. I've been on Chicago PD. Working right now with reels. I did a sizzle reel last year for a project. I don't want to talk too much about it. That's Stephen Bocho is supposed to be the executive producer. It's a documentary, not about me. It's about a bunch of other stuff that I would be included in. So these podcasts, I'm sure, will help you promote yourself. There's people out there watching these things, and looking for new material. I've met a lot of writers and producers over the years. I've had a lot of success, and also a lot of projects have gone nowhere. So it just depends on each particular project. One thing you learn about show business is nobody ever calls you until they're ready. You could sit there and wait for months, and all of a sudden you get a call. I sat back and waited. I've been waiting for Vice Network for another client of mine that they're going to do a thing on, a police officer that was involved in drug deals and stuff. But we waited for over a year, and I get a text about 2 weeks ago from somebody else out of nowhere, that they want to rekindle the project and start it over. So good luck with it, because I know how difficult it is. I've been around it a long time. But when you have a good story and you have a good writer and you have a good producer, you can make something that people are going to want to watch. And it seems to me that people, are fascinated, by these types of subjects and these types of things. I mean, criminal defense lawyers were kind of at the bottom of the totem pole when, it comes to lawyering. I've been to parties, and what do you do for a living? How can you do that? What do you do? Oh, I'm a stockbroker. I go, so how do you feel to fuck people out of their life savings? I mean, same thing. I mean, honest to God, we're here doing a job. What people don't realize is that the best lawyers you find, we don't engage in judging our clients. We are not in the moral business. We are in the legal business. And to us, if you killed 5 people, that's fine. Can they prove it? Is all we worry about. We don't judge you that you're a bad person. We don't judge that you're immoral. A good lawyer will never judge his clients. And I learned that from Judge Wolfson when I was in law school. He always told me, never judge a client. You're not a judge and you're not a jury. Don't judge the client, because people make mistakes. And sometimes as a lawyer, I had a case this weekend where a client had a load car in somebody's driveway. The dad didn't know whose car it was. They came out, and the dad that owned the property was looking around the car and found a gun and called the police. Well, from there the cops come. It's not your car. They do a tow. They find all the stuff inside. I mean, they just, was that a stupid thing to do? It was, because you didn't tell anybody. But I'm not going to judge him because he did it that way. I tried to help him so they wouldn't charge him. So you have to discount yourself from judging what your clients do. And I've learned this practicing law for a number of years. I've been doing it 38 years now. Is good people do bad things. There's no question about it.
Yeah,
and it happens.
Everybody has 2 sides. Everybody has
every
2 sides.
Family has one. I've learned that as well. Every family has one bad apple. It's in every family I've come across. It might not be criminally bad, but it could be something else. So, as I get older and I think about, all the good judgments that I can make now, I think about all the bad ones I made in the past. And what's really sad now is I have no more mentors, and my mentors are dead. Eddie Jensen was my go-to guy for 37 years. And, I could call Eddie any time, day or night, and say, Eddie, I got this, what should I do? I've got this cop that's going to say this, should I say this? Or, I don't have anybody to go to anymore. Everybody's gone. All the older guys are gone that I dealt with. And Jensen, certainly he was probably number one in the city for a good 20 years. But there's really nobody left. Somebody said I'm left. Well, I guess I am left. But other than that, it sometimes I have to make these judgment calls. And I just think, what would Jensen do? it's hard for me the older I get, because I I lose these people that I relied on for so many years that are now gone.
Yeah, right.
And there's
Yeah,
there's a
that's
lot
too
of new
bad.
there's a lot of new young lawyers coming up, and I watch them, and I think some are good, some are really really bad, but it's not my job to
Yeah,
really say anything. And
it's crazy.
sometimes people come in with these unreal expectations. I tell them I'm a good lawyer, but I ain't that good, because nobody's that good. I mean, sometimes people come in with these unreal
It depends
expectations.
on the judge too, right?
It depends on a lot of factors. See, the thing about law, and you've heard this, Stevie, and all of you guys who've been locked up, and girls who've been locked up, and ones who've had cases, you always hear this story. So and so got probation for killing 8 people. Some outrageous comparison. Why can't I get that?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
you can't get that because, number one, we don't know any of the facts of the case, right? We don't know what evidence there was, because every case is different. And they taught this in law school a long time ago. When you're a doctor and Stevie breaks his arm, he goes to Loyola, he can go to University of Chicago or Cook County. They're all going to put a cast on it, right? Because it's
yeah,
uniform. Law is not like that. Law is not like that, because each case has different facts. So it's not like science. It's very unscientific. So, a lot of
yeah.
times people
It could go
will
anyway, right?
yeah, they'll compare their case to someone else's case, and they'll be mad because they can't get what that person gets, and then you have to try to explain to them that we don't know enough about why that person got that, and maybe that person's actually lying, because, as you know, there's a lot of lying going on in this business.
Yeah, lying and snitching.
Lying and snitching. That's one thing that
They
we're not
make
into.
deals.
That's snitching. I just got fired from a
So what do you
case.
do if you get
I got a handful of guys
if you're working?
that'll do it. I don't really. I'm not
They
into it.
don't.
Why should I make my job is to defend people, not prosecute.
No, but I'm
Some of
saying,
the
so what do you do if you're dealing with somebody and they want to turn Fed or informant?
I pull
How,
out.
how do you deal with that?
I
Oh,
pull
okay,
out.
right.
I quit.
Because
I, I
that's
tell them
bad business
either
altogether.
get the public defender, or there's one other guy who's known for all that. Call this guy up and see if he can help, because I'm not going to be into it.
Yeah, yeah, it's just bad business for everybody.
It's
It's
bad
like when
business,
you get into
and personally, I find it to be something I don't like to do, because why do I have to help them with my client?
right,
That's their job
right,
to go out there and get people, not mine.
yeah,
But
yeah. I learned a long time ago. Don't say anything. Just lawyer up right away. Of
and
course,
that's
I don't need any lawyers no more. But yeah, I got to that point too. I learned the hard way, and then I just
I,
started learning like, okay, I better get an attorney and stuff. And I haven't had any issues no more.
well, that's what I always tell my
But yeah, I mean,
clients:
I used to have
is
I
don't
had
talk,
a,
be courteous to the
just
police,
be quiet.
just be quiet, be courteous, let them book you, and we'll take it from there.
Yep, just let them charge you. That's it. And after that, it's all over. Yep, that's how I do it. I learned the hard way and stuff. I never told on anybody or anything like that, but I mean, I've been charged with crimes and stuff, and I didn't have attorneys, or I did, and they weren't the greatest. And I've had my fair share of public attorney or public defenders, uh, and that really never. I mean, I've had a few that were okay. I can't say they were all bad because I've got some good deals on some cases and stuff. But
Yeah.
you know, the older I got, the more they were more serious and stuff like that. I was facing more time, so I always had to use an attorney. And you know, after that, I mean, now I'm okay. The last case I had, like I said, was fighting 4 years on DUI for weed. And it was really serious just because they wanted to take my license. I wasn't going to be facing any jail time, and then COVID and all that stuff hit. But it took 4 years in court, and I paid over $12,000 for my attorney. So it was, luckily I never lost my license throughout the whole thing. But I didn't get a conviction. I beat the case in the end, and I just learned from my mistakes and stuff. But that was actually the last case that I had, and that was over 4 or 5 years ago, and it was a bad night, bad decision, but I learned from it.
People make mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
They make bad
Yeah.
decisions. I always tell my clients, if you feel it's not right, don't do it. I had a guy one time call me up, and he says to me, he's like, I took your advice. I go, what's that? He goes, I kept driving. I go, what do you mean? He goes, I had it with me. I was going to go meet the guy, and I saw these weird cars, and I decided to keep driving. They keep calling me every day to come back. So I'm staying away from them.
Yeah.
So he went with his gut feeling.
Got to.
Well, I always tell
too many of my friends go.
If you're involved in some kind of transaction with somebody, and you feel uncomfortable, ask them to move. If they don't move, then it's the man, because they won't move. Once they set up, they ain't moving. That's some free advice today.
I think lost you. Oh, there we go. But yeah, so
that's
pretty much it. I just wanted to. Yeah, I got all that.
Okay, good.
So you have anything planned in the future, next couple months, or anything coming up?
I got a bunch of murder cases.
Trials.
Just trials are coming. I got some murder cases coming, and a couple of drug cases coming, and got a couple of cases out of town. I got a new case out in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's gonna be kind of interesting to go down there. It's in the federal court down there.
You could practice law in different states like that.
I practice law in federal courts all around the country. I'm admitted to 14 different ones. And I just finished a case in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm going to finish one in Houston, and I got one pending now in Chattanooga, and I'm going to finish one that I have, one of my favorite places in Texas, Corpus Christi. When you sit in the federal courthouse, you look out the window, and all you see is the ocean. It's outstanding. I love it. I've been to some weird places, dude. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. Back in the 90s, when this first started, and people don't realize this, you see it in Narcos kind of, in the opening episode of Narcos, when you see all the trucks lined up at the border. What happened is when Clinton signed the NAFTA agreement, right, allowing the trucks to go across, what happened was the Colombians stopped bringing the stuff up and would bring it to Mexico, and the Mexicans would drive it across. So, Chicago's always been the biggest hub for it in the country. Still is. All the directions come out of here. But I would have to go to these different courthouses in the middle of nowhere, and because there were really no lawyers yet doing it. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like the beginning of it. And I remember I used to look I'd sit in a hotel room and look at Yellow Pages, trying to figure out which the best lawyer based on the Yellow Page ad, which is really, usually I was pretty much on top of it, but now with the internet and everything, it's a lot easier.
Yeah. My kids and stuff.
Yeah.
The perks of being a father. So my wife just came and what were you saying? Go ahead. Well, I think I'm gonna wrap it up.
All right.
I got the kids and stuff to be in the background, but I appreciate you coming on and talking and stuff, and we'll get together probably again, and we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, just let me know. I'm happy to come back on whenever you guys need me.
Okay. Yeah, we got some stuff lined up. I know Joey Seifert's doing some things, but there's other guys too that I'm working with. Like I said, chatting with Stacks on YouTube. Shout out to him. Got Cyril DiPaggio down in Miami, producer. He's doing Mob King. So I'm working with the network of people, all good things and stuff. Just trying to make some legit money, doing these things, bringing it to the big screen, and it's going pretty good. I got a lot of support, and it's just all good stuff, and it's real interesting stuff. Mob content, cartel stuff, gang stuff. That's a lot of stuff people like. It's interesting at the same time. Yeah, it's what people like. Keeps them entertained, I guess, and people like to hear some of the stories. Mine's a redemption story. I've been shot 11 times myself. Was in a street gang in Cicero, and although I wasn't no notorious kingpin or nothing like that, I've done some stuff, I'm doing okay. You know, I'm still in the streets. I get respect, and you know, I got people behind me that I need if I ever needed them. Of course, nowadays, you know, I'm okay. I'm older now. I'm 43. I'm past that. Uh, but yeah, it's a lot of stuff coming. You know, we got bunch of stuff on, you know, documentaries and films. So you know, a lot of good things coming.
Okay. All right,
So
Stevie.
all
I
right,
guess
all right,
we'll wrap it up.
all right. Take care, Joe. Thanks a lot.